Good evening, and welcome to the eighth in the series of talks on creation care put on by St. Timothy's Episcopal Church Creation Care Task Force. We formed this task force to increase awareness of the impact we are having on the climate and to introduce ways that we as individuals and as a community can reduce those impacts. Tonight, we'll be speaking about ways to measure the impact you're having now and the reductions each one of the actions you take will have to reduce that impact. My name is Bill Shreve, the leader of the St. Timothy's Creation Care Task Force. My background before I retired was working for HP and Agilent Technologies on measurement instruments and measurements of all kinds. So tonight is particularly meaningful to me because we'll be talking about ways to measure our carbon footprint. Let's start off with a prayer. Almighty God, in giving us dominion over things on earth, you made us fellow workers in your creation. Give us wisdom and reverence so to use the resources of nature that no one may suffer from our abuse of them, and that generations yet to come may continue to praise you for your bounty. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. If you've missed any of our previous 7 sessions, they're all archived on YouTube videos on the web. I invite you to copy down any of the links that are interesting to you, or you can get them all at our website, www.sttims.org/creationcare. That's sttims.org/creationcare, all one word. Tonight we'll be talking about ways to measure our greenhouse gas impact. Sustain Island Home is the first thing I'll talk about. It's a carbon tracker developed by the Episcopal Church to help people take steps toward a sustainable life. I'll then go into a discussion of ways that you can get more customized assessments of what your house is doing right now, what impact the choices you make as a homeowner have on your carbon footprint. And then we'll talk about Project Drawdown. It's a science-based nonprofit study seeking to help the world steadily reduce greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Sustain Island Home is a website that put on by the Episcopal Church for Episcopalians. I'll be talking primarily about this website, but there is an equivalent website for secular people. If you don't want to log on as an Episcopalian, you can go in as just an individual and a member of your community, just with your address, in a different website, which is called werenew.net. When you log in, when you first get on to Sustain Island Home, the first thing you'll get is a welcome from various leaders of the Episcopal Church. You can see from this title page, it shows you how many households have registered and are participating in this work, how many tons of CO2 equivalents they've reduced their emissions by through actions they've taken and recorded on this website. So the first thing you need to do is tell them where you're starting. What's your carbon footprint? To get started, you have to describe your lifestyle to give a baseline for the website to use to see what kinds of impacts you are currently having and how that might be reduced. It'll then give you suggestions for ways you can reduce your carbon footprint. And after you take those actions and mark them as completed, you get a score. And if you join a team, which could either be your local community or your local congregation, you get a team score also. In the US, 40% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from choices made by us as householders. They are in 5 different areas: electricity, our home heating, our transportation choices, our food choices, and our waste choices. So when they ask you to describe your energy profile, electricity, you can get all of that off your utility bills. if you provide access to your utility bills for the software on the website, it'll automatically fill in that, or you can manually enter the results of your energy usage from your utility bill for the last 12 months. And then it will then ask you how you do your home heating, what type of heaters you have, and how many heaters you have, what type of transportation you use. Do you own a car or multiple cars? And what kinds of cars are they? How far do you drive them? What are your food choices? What's your normal diet consist of in a typical week? And then finally, what do you throw away? They measure your waste just by asking you what size your trash cans are. Once you've entered all that information, the website will tell you your impact and compare that with others in your community with houses similar to yours. And then it'll tell you what actions you can take, how much each action costs, how much you can save from taking that action, and how large the impact is in terms of reducing your carbon footprint. So let's focus on the action grid, because I think that's probably the one that's the most interesting to us. It offers, in addition to the actions across the top two columns, tips on getting started, learning about solutions, and a typical home plan for the Johnsons there in the third box over. I won't be actually accessing the websites because that often runs into problems when you're using Zoom. So I'll just use some screenshots that I've taken off of the website. You can see on the website, you can look at how you're heating your home and what choices you're making by the settings on your thermostat. You can also look at big actions like putting on solar or adding a wind turbine in your backyard, if that's allowed in your neighborhood, or smaller things that are still big actions like changing your hot water heater. Then you energy smart solutions by like changing your light bulbs and other things. Insulating your home might be under that one. Home energy, let's delve into that one a little more, but then you can get into suggestions for transportation, for food and your choice, the way you handle waste, for your uses of water. And then their activity is to just generally learn more, both as a community and things that are youth friendly. Let's zoom in a little on what would happen if you click the home energy. Under there, you'd see things like installing an electric heat pump water heater, or installing an electric heat pump heater for heating the whole house, or solar hot water on the roof, or a tankless hot water heater. Let's take a look at what it would mean if you wanted to install a tankless hot water heater to replace a conventional gas-powered water heater. That installing a tankless water heater gives you 2,300 points. That's a measure of the reduction in your carbon footprint. It'll also tell you what the upfront cost is, how much it costs to do that, how much time it takes typically to install it, the resource savings you'd have every month in terms of natural gas, and the annual savings. Most of these tankless hot water heaters are gas powered, but they use less gas in an on-demand system than you would use to keep the hot water hot all the time in a 30-gallon heater. So it's different, and there are pros and cons to using it. As you read down the paragraphs here, it tells you all about the pros, all about the cons. I haven't reproduced them all on this slide because the print would have been far too small. But if you go into the website, you can get all the pros, the cons, how to get a contractor to put these in for you, and other things you'd need to make this choice to improve your carbon footprint. If you want to know more about sustainedislandhome.com, I can't get into it all here in this short talk. They run webinars about once a month, and these are 3 upcoming webinars for the remainder of this year. One in just 2 weeks and 2 others in December. If you go into these webinars, they're for new users and also for people who logged into the website and may have questions about what they do next. They're very interactive and very easy to follow. So I encourage you to go to one of these if you want to learn more about Sustain Island Home. The next thing I would like to talk about is free customized home assessments. How are you using your energy now specific to your house? You can look at your eligibility for this program. This is a program paid for by your utility. PG&E or Community Choice Energy customers are eligible, and they're eligible if they have a smart meter and they've had that smart meter for 12 months. So they've got 12 months of data to analyze. And they also cannot have solar electric panels, because once you put on solar panels, your smart meter data no longer actually talks about your energy usage, because most of it is supplied from the roof. Home Intel will then create a custom plan for you and provide coaching to reduce waste or reduce wasted energy in your home. So this is what you get. You get an online energy analysis account based on the smart meter analysis. You get custom recommendations based on your home's unique energy profile. So that could include things that are very easy or even free, like turning off some things that you may use all the time. When I talked to the owner of this company, he said one of the things that people often have are old devices that they actually don't use anymore, like old VCRs, but they still sit in that cabinet where you keep your television set. And they're running all the time, and they use a surprising amount of electricity. So they'll find some of these and suggest ways for you to unplug these unless you're actually using them, and thereby reduce your energy. A lot of the things they suggest don't cost anything. The owner says that typically they can save people $200 a month just by the changes they make in that don't cost anything. There are also some low-cost changes that go into that number. They then will provide you with a personal energy coach for email, phone, and in-home consultations, and reports that based on your change in your energy profile as measured by your PG&E bill, they'll give you updated monthly reports to track your progress. And all this is paid for by your utility, so it's free to you. It's a good service. I wasn't able to actually use the whole service because I do have solar on my home. The last thing I want to talk about is Project Drawdown. Drawdown is a nonprofit organization that was formed in 2014 to help the world reach what they call drawdown. This is a point in the future when levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere stop climbing and start to steadily decline. As you probably know from seeing reports from scientists today, we're far from drawdown in 2020, even though people have been talking about it for over 20 years. You may remember a book that Drawdown published in 2017, giving you a comprehensive plan for the country and the world to reverse global warming. It was a bestseller in 2017, and it's still available in paperback, in Kindle form, or on audiobooks. But what I want to talk about today isn't what's in the book, it's what's in their 2020 report. They call it the Drawdown Review 2020. This is available for free as a PDF file when you log into the Drawdown website. It's called Climate Solutions for a New Decade. It's all about source reduction, bringing our emissions to zero, about supporting natural sinks, things that will sequester carbon through natural cycles of the natural parts of the carbon cycle. We've tended to be unaware of that, and we've done things to actually disrupt the carbon cycle and put more of what nature would normally sequester back into the atmosphere. And then they also talk about improving society, fostering equality for all, and how working toward drawdown does just that. It fosters equality for all by improving society as a whole. So the way, if we look at the reducing sources portion, that's focused on bringing emissions to zero by changes in the way we use electricity and the way we generate electricity, the changes in our food, agriculture, and land use. We've talked about a lot of these previously in the series. They also add on what industry can do to reduce their impact on the environment and the air quality. Transportation, not just our own cars, but as a system that we use to support everything we do. We use transportation, trucking to get our products to market and to our homes, and we use transportation to ship things across seas. And then we also use transportation to move ourselves around, airplanes and trains and buses and so on. So they talk about that and what we can change there. They talk about buildings, not just homes, but also office buildings and the wasted energy in buildings. That's another huge source, and other sources of emissions, because we have to look at everything in order to get to zero. I want to not talk a lot about what they did, but I want to talk about 10 key insights that they raise at the end of the report. We can reach drawdown by mid-century if we scale the climate solutions already in hand. So things that have already been demonstrated, nothing that is in the experimental stages, but have already been demonstrated, if they are scaled up and applied globally, will allow us to reach drawdown by 2050. Climate solutions are interconnected as a system, and we need all of them. In other words, we can't rely on just one thing. We can't rely on just changing the way we generate electricity or changing the way we move ourselves and our products around. We've got to change everything, including our choices of food and the way we handle waste. Beyond addressing greenhouse gases, climate solutions have co-benefits that contribute to a more equitable world. So if we do things that reduce the pollution from industrial plants, then those communities living around that plant will have improved air quality and reduced pollution of the environment and their water, so that the health in that area will improve, the costs of healthcare will go down, and it's all a co-benefit of just working to save our planet through reducing greenhouse gases. A lot of times you'll hear that we just can't afford to do everything in a green way. But the point they make in the report is that the financial case for climate solutions is crystal clear. Savings significantly outweigh costs. There are a lot of experts that are saying now the United States, because we have taken such a backward view of it for the past few years, is falling behind this area of rapid growth, falling behind the rest of the world, Europe in particular, and also China, because they are taking climate change seriously and doing everything they can with modern technology to reduce greenhouse gases, and it reduces their costs. The majority of climate solutions reduce or replace the use of fossil fuels. We must accelerate these solutions while actively stopping the use of coal, oil, and gas. We can't just phase them out as it's convenient. You may remember at one of our previous talks, the person talking about electrifying the home said, don't wait for your gas car to collapse. Go ahead out and lease or buy an electric vehicle and sell your gas-powered car before its value drops to nothing, because all gas-powered cars are replaced by electric cars. We cannot reach drawdown without simultaneously reducing emissions towards zero and supporting nature's carbon sinks. In other words, we need to reduce emissions, and we need to work to take what's already in the atmosphere out of the atmosphere and sequester it through natural processes. This is all very possible, but we need to scale it up. We talked a little bit about this when we talked about regenerative agriculture. It can be applied large scale to commercial agriculture. And we talked more about how we can apply it in our own homes through cover crops and other things that improve the soil, reduce the work of maintaining your garden, and reduce the amount of chemical fertilizer you need to use to make your garden beautiful. Some of the most powerful climate solutions receive comparably little attention, reminding us to widen our lens. One of the things that shows up here is empowering women throughout the globe can have a huge impact on the emissions across the globe. And you wouldn't normally think of that as being a climate solution. Accelerators are critical to move solutions forward. In other words, we need to get to scale, we need to get there quickly, and we need to get there on a large scope, worldwide scope. And accelerators make all this happen faster. We need to focus on getting accelerators going now. And some of that can be done through political action. Some of it's just done by increasing awareness so that everyone can contribute. Footholds of agency exist at every level. That means that we as individuals can do things and institutions can do things also, all to advance climate solutions. We can't rely on institutions to do it all. We can't rely on individuals to do it all. We have to work on it from all sides. And institutions include churches. Most of us represent faith organizations here, so we need to look at churches as well as what we can do as individuals. Immense commitment, collaboration, and ingenuity will be necessary to depart the perilous path we are on. Okay, why is this important and why is this a key insight? Well, in this country, we've got so much political division. This is not a problem that is political. This is a problem of humanity. And it's one that we all need to agree on and work together on. We can't afford to bicker over details. We need to just work on the path that scientists has played out. The mission is clear. Make the possibility of getting to zero emissions a reality. At the end of the report, they have this, what it looks like an eye chart, and I've only copied the first 17 lines of a 76-line table and blew it up a little bit. But I wanted to show you this table. It lists in priority order or ranking based on the impact they can have in CO2 equivalent impact on our atmosphere, all of the solutions that they talk about in the report. And they rate them with four different columns here. The first column gives you the CO2 equivalent impact. The second gives you the initial cost. The third gives the lifetime cost because they're analyzing the period from 2020 to 2050. And the last is, what are the net savings if we do this? Since we say savings far outweigh the costs of most of these things. So rather than talk you through this as an eye chart, I'll zoom in on just the top corner of the chart. You can see the number one thing is just reducing food waste. Obviously, reducing waste isn't something that costs you a whole lot of money, and that can have a huge impact on reducing our CO2 equivalent emissions. Health and education, like what I talked about, empowering women, can have an almost equal impact to that. And then switching our diets away from some of the meats that require a great deal more energy and generate more CO2 equivalents in the raising of the beef and other meats. And some meats are better than others, as Annette pointed out to us when she talked about our diet choices. Refrigerant management, and also down on number 7, alternative refrigerants. These are the things that we put in our air conditioners, our refrigerators, heat pumps when we get to those to reduce energy consumption. There's some refrigerants are very, very potent greenhouse gases, many times what CO2 is. So if we let any of that escape in the process of either phasing out refrigerators or bringing in new equipment, we can have a huge negative impact on the atmosphere. So we need to look at alternative refrigerants, and we need to look at managing what's already in the products we have now. Tropical forest reforestation, onshore wind turbines, utility scale photovoltaics, and further down the list are distributed photovoltaics, like putting things on our roofs. They're all there for us to have an impact. And we can improve cook stoves and things in less developed countries to have a big impact. And when the list goes on, it's a fascinating list, and I encourage you to take a look at it and read it. So the 2 insights I want you to really walk away with and remember: we can reach drawdown by the middle of the century, by 2050, if we scale the climate solutions that we already have in hand. We don't need to invent new things. Climate solutions are all interconnected as a system, and we need all of them. So if we remember those 2 things, it motivates us to work. I mentioned that you could use drawdown for institutions, and one of those institutions are churches. There is a talk coming up in 2 weeks by Dr. Elizabeth Bagley, the director of Drawdown Learn, on how to apply the drawdown research to reduce emissions at churches. You have to register for this, and you can go into either Interfaith Power and Light or the Drawdown websites to find out how to register. I'll give you the link at the end of the talk. Actually, here's the link right here. It's the bottom thing on this slide. So the things that I've mentioned that we can do, look going forward, if you want to learn more about Sustain Island Home, you can go into the website, or you can attend one of the 3 webinars listed here. If you want a secular version of the same thing, I suggest you go into werenew.net. It gives you exactly the same engine for carbon reduction and carbon measurement, but it's in a secular format rather than an Episcopal format. Home Intel is the company you need to go to if you want a customized evaluation of your home. You can find this at HEA.com. And then if you want to read the full 100-page review by Drawdown, go to drawdown.org and download the PDF file. And as I mentioned, here's the place to get registered for the Drawdown presentation. So let's end with a prayer now. God of freedom, we pray for our nation and all the nations of the world, for peace and unity across barriers of language, color, creed, and party, for elected and appointed leaders, that they would serve the common good. Inspire all people with courage to speak out against hatred and to actively resist evil. Unite the human family in bonds of love. God of freedom, hear our prayers for the world. Amen. Thank you for joining me tonight. For a summary of all of these talks from St. Tim's Creation Care program, go to www.sttims.org/creationcare. Good night.